after-school programs. And
Associate Superintendent Robin Sawaski will introduce this.
I am very excited to have Debbie Badger here, our new Director of Child Development and After-School Programs. And we met today, actually, and she shared a little bit about what she's sharing tonight, but she also gave me a little sneak peek of her vision for moving forward. And I don't know, maybe a month or two, she'll be coming back to the board and more fully describing her restructuring plan. She's been doing a lot of visiting and other things. I'll let her tell you about what her activities have been. So I'm really pleased to have Debbie with us.
Thank you, Robin. I appreciate it. President Cordero, school board members, and also to staff, thank you for allowing me to come. But most importantly, thank you for allowing me to lead a committed staff team. I appreciate it. And then secondly, I appreciate the support for merging the ACES department with the Child Development Department. When I first came up with the concept, there's a lot to be gleaned since there is a school-age program within the Child Development Program, and ACES serves school-age children also. Matter of fact, to the point that we already, ACES had a training 2 weeks ago, English language learner training, and we invited the school-age staff. So there's a lot that can be shared between the two departments, so thank you very much. So what I thought I'd do tonight is just share with you, now that we've merged the two departments together, we have a total of 1,828 students. As you can see, the bulk of them are from ACES. We have 6 sites. Actually, no, we have 7 sites. I have to get in. On January 18th, we started up a program at Adelante. On the second day, we were full to capacity with a wait list. So we now have an AOK program at Adelante. We have an AOK program at Adams. We have an AOK program at Cleveland, Franklin, McKinley, and also 2 at La Cumbre and at Harding. So we have 801 students that attend the ACES program, which is After School Education and Safety Program, which is funded through the state at the tune of $7.50 per day per child. We also have 4 full-day children's centers with a total of 209 students. We have 339 students in a part-day preschool program. We also have 359 students in a school-age program within the Child Development Program. We have 14 currently CalSafe mothers and babies. We have about 4 of them right now that are out on maternity leave. And then we have 106 students within our Waterford program. So as you can see, 43% is ACES. And as we go to the next slide, ACES funding is only 17% of the total budget. The total budget for child development and after-school programs, minus any grant funding, is $5,909,998 for the total department. And the bulk of the funding comes from state preschool. It's the preschool funding that is pretty secure. I will get into my attendance at the Child Care State Budget Workshop, but the part-day state preschool program is pretty secure. The full day is 35% of that funding is at risk. ACES, unless it goes back to the voters because it was voter initiated, it's pretty safe at this point. Then we have our Head Start program over at Harding has 3% of the funding. Pre-K family literacy has just a very itty-bitty small segment of the funding, only $5,000. Our federal funding is the next one besides the, right underneath the ACES program. We receive $443,000 and $443,706. It's 8% of the total budget. That is our program that serves toddlers and also our school-age program. And then we have CalSafe, which is located on Santa Barbara High campus, which is only 4%, and then Mobile Waterford, 2% of our funding. Oops.
Another quick question
Certainly.
on CalSafe, and I'm not sure if this is for Mr. Smith or for Ms. Badger. CalSafe funding, was that Tier 3 categorical? Okay. I was trying to remember because I knew it had been dramatically cut, and I wasn't sure, since it's been a while now since that happened, if that was the reason for it.
And also with CalSafe, we talked strongly about having that go back to the high school site and be administered there. Because of this changeover, we haven't done that yet. We haven't acted on it, but Santa Barbara High was willing to do that. That was the recommendation from FCMAT. So that will come forward again when we have the restructuring.
Great,
discussion.
thank you.
Thank you.
In the 27 days that I've been in the position, during the month of January, I spent about 40% of my time in ACES because the decision wasn't made to merge the two programs together till almost winter break. And so I needed to train the ACES staff and get them up to where they needed to be so that they could operate a little bit more independent from me. And so they are cruising along. We've reorganized. We're in the process. I will be screening day after tomorrow for a 4-hour senior office assistant. A lot of what I did was clerical, and so I felt that a part-time senior office assistant could fulfill that component part of my position. So, given that, in regards to child development, I've met with the following groups: Family Service Agency. And I don't know if you're aware, but we have elementary family advocates on our 5 elementary campuses. And we also have pre-K family advocates. And I've already begun discussions with Family Service Agency to have one supervisor supervising all of it. I really want on all of our campuses to have a seamless program. And I really want, and it's not necessarily happening on all of our programs right now, that the elementary and the pre-K family advocates work really closely together. I've met with the Mobile Waterford folks, the outdoor classroom. I don't know if you're aware, but Adams, we received $100,000 to renovate the playground. First 5 accreditation, the HIPPY folks, some principals, and then today I met with Health Linkages staff. I assessed the child development, immediately what I did is I assessed the child development enrollment and also 2 staffing ratios. We are a little under enrolled in our school age non-subsidized program. And so we've been doing a little rearranging in terms of staff. And so, and also too, I'm working with Barbara Chiani on a marketing plan. Barbara already has the information for a flyer that will go out to the principals, and then we will continue on with all kinds of public service announcements, bulletins, things like that, for the schools to send out to their families. We opened an ACES site at Adelante Charter School, as I shared with you, and it's unusual to be full on the second day, but it's been really interesting being over there. They really wanted us there, and the staff, the families, and the children all have shown it.
If I could just add, I was at a governance board meeting with them last night, and they were touting the program and extremely happy that they had a full complement of students, and they are thrilled to have you on their campus.
That's
so
great. They've
they
been wonderful.
They were quite happy.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. Things are going quite well. Actually, when all of our ACES programs, they're going quite well. Matter of fact, Barbara Chiani came over talking about ACES, Barbara Chiani came over last week and took pictures of Teen Cuisine at La Cumbra. They actually had a PAL dinner where they had about 30 of our partners, not PAL dinner, our partner dinner. We had about 30 of our partners there. And after that, the students at La Cumbra and Teen Cuisine and the after-school program actually served dinner to the partners. It was beautiful. And you're going to go too in a couple months.
Oh, good. Oh, good. We were just wondering.
Yeah.
We've gotten spoiled. Ms. Parker?
May I just ask on that, Adelante is full. How many spaces are there for the AOK program?
50.
50, okay.
And I went for 50 based on the enrollment. And if I could have, I would have gone for more if I had any idea. I was going to be happy with 32 or 35. And you know, it is unusual for programs to be full the first week that we open. Our Region 8 office was surprised. I attended the Child Development State Budget Workshop. Things look a little grim, but you never know. You know, what the governor proposed may not necessarily mean that that's what's going to be the end result. And the funding that is in jeopardy right now is our full day preschool and our general contract, which is also our school age. The proposal right now is to reduce by 35% and serve the same number, the expectation to serve the same number of students, but to have the parents pay the difference. So today we sent off a spreadsheet to the Department of Education which anticipating how many families we would probably lose through that process.
And Ms. Badger, could I ask, how many do you anticipate losing if that comes about?
Oh, probably about 200. So, visited 2 school districts in Bakersfield. I went to Bakersfield City Schools and I visited 6 preschool sites. And then I also stopped on my way back and went to Panama Buena Vista School District and saw their state preschool program. And while I was there, I took the liberty, because I stayed overnight, and went to visit Mary Barlow, who led the FCMAT team and did the presentation before the board. And she had some wonderful suggestions, and I found it very fruitful. I solicit input from staff on cost-cutting and revenue-generating programs. I opened my office up last Friday afternoon and invited staff to come in and share anything that they would recommend in terms of cost-cutting and revenue-generating. And also, too, I invited them to send emails if they weren't able to come and see me. Met with Nutrition Services. Currently, the Child Development Program's on the National School Lunch Program. The National School Lunch Program does not feed students in the Child Development Program at reduced rates during vacations and summer. It is only when school's in operation, when the schools are in operation. And so the Adult Child Care Food Program would allow the students to be able to eat at the free, reduced, and paid rates throughout the entire year. They are providing me with some data so I can crunch some numbers. We will make the decision if we can justify it being feasible to move on to the Adult Child Care Food Program. I will tell you that at this point, from July 1 through December 31st, $58,000 has been saved over last year's expenditures in the nutrition service payment to nutrition services. So Susan and the staff have done a really good job. When I first arrived, I found that hard copies and business office staff going to the sites to deliver anything that needs to be communicated to the staff. And right now, Gloria, the secretary in the office, is in the process. I sent out a survey to staff asking them if they had district email addresses, if they had access to a computer, if they have access to a printer. And so we will be putting together a list of our needs. And I've already been contacting purchasing to say that, you know, when you see that a school is actually replenishing a computer room, that we would be glad to take those computers. A lot of them are in much better shape than the ones that we have in our department. And so we are really looking at how we can best and effectively and efficiently and physically manage our funds, and electronic communication needs to be the way to go. And it's going to mean some training for staff. There's some fear there. And then I've also begun developing a plan for reorganizing the Child Development Department. As Robin shared with you, I have a vision, and probably in about a month and a half, I'll be glad to come back and share that with you. And I believe with all my heart that this vision will also have many reductions. My goals for 2011 is to develop and implement a 2-phase reorganizational preschool and school-age program plan. It does not pertain to ACES at all, because ACES is running like a locomotive. It's running quite well, and financially we're doing very well. I also plan to research and implement a standardized preschool curriculum that supports the school achievement goals. And what I plan to do is I plan to bring together principals, kindergarten teachers, possibly first grade teachers, and also some teachers in the child development preschool program. And we're going to take a look at various curriculums, and then we will make a decision and we'll go with it. And this would begin the implementation would begin in July when Cleveland opens.
Mrs. Cordero, may I ask?
Ms. Parker?
Is there a curriculum in place now that this would be replacing, or is there no curriculum? So it just varies site by site, teacher by teacher?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Actually, there was some training, you know, the open court, there is a preschool open court. They piloted that, and I don't even know what center or school it's in.
It's at Santa Barbara Community Academy, and
Oh,
it is,
okay.
but it is site by site.
Side by side, yes.
Santa Barbara Community Academy is the only one that's doing open court.
Okay.
And then I plan to organize a team comprised of a principal, our district account technician, a teacher, assistant, parent, and a community member to meet quarterly to provide oversight, not only for program, but also for fiscal responsibility. I think that the program is large enough that we could use all the help that we can get, and a lot of times a different perspective can come into play and provide us with some other ideas and some other information. Any questions?
Board members, Mr. Herron?
I'm just curious, we had the FICMAT report, and I presume you're using that and coming up with some mechanism to show us that the things called out in there are being corrected?
Yes, most definitely. I've read it backwards, forwards, and upside down. Any other questions?
Ms. Barker?
Well, just a comment. I mean, thank you. You've done so much in less than a month. And I look at this, I mean, we have great teachers in our preschool programs.
Yes, we
And
do.
I feel like this is just, I'm so grateful for the FICMAT report and so grateful for the work that you're doing, because what an opportunity. I mean, this will make such a difference for us K-12 ultimately, with just different focus and attention paid to this in a way that hasn't happened for a while. So I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to another
Thank you.
another report from
Thank
you
you.
fairly soon.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled. I think we have this program in great hands. I'm really, looking forward to your vision and hearing more about it and seeing it implemented, because I just feel like we're poised for really great things there. And I again, in 27 days, you seem to have accomplished quite a bit. And so I can only imagine, once you've been in there for a full year, what we're going to end up with. And I appreciate the presentation that you made here tonight, because it was very informative and gave us some food for thought, I think, also. So thank you very much. And we look forward to the teen cuisine dinner.
They were so cute. They were great.
They always are.
Oh, they were walking all over the partners, just trying to serve them. It was really precious. But there's so much that's going on, and there's so much going on too at La Cumbre Junior High, just in terms not only just teen cuisine, but Sal has done a remarkable job over there, and has incorporated. We have the YMCA with the Model UN program, which is the prelude to Youth in Government. And we have 10, we were shooting for 3 students on a regular basis, and we've had 10. We have the fitness facility, we have robotics, we have UCSB coming in and doing science club and book club, and it's just amazing what's going on over there. Not only their drama, but it's incredible. And actually, every one of our sites. Oh, just to let you know too, I've been working with the City Parks and Rec, and what we want to do, you'll be receiving invitations once I can identify a date with with Terry Brown from City Parks and Rec. We want to invite the school board members and also to the city council members at the same time to visit Adams School. As we're getting closer and closer to our contract with City Parks and Rec. We have our AOK program has a very large contract with City Parks and Rec. And I'm constantly trying to, last year we thought we were going to get hit with a $30,000 increase. An increase of about $19,000 and a hit of $11,000 from their contribution, which totaled $30,000. From the city, and so we just want to keep reminding the city how important and how valuable this program is. And when I went to go see Mayor Schneider, she suggested that we get the school board members and the city council members together to visit a site. And so we've chosen Adams. I shared that with Amy because we also have a RAP program there too.
Great, well, we look forward to
So,
that.
Thank you so
We
much.
should
I
probably-
appreciate it, and thank you for your time and your continued support.
We should
Thank
probably
you.
highlight that at our joint meeting as well.
Yes, I
City
think so,
Council.
I think so.
When is that?
April 24, well, don't quote me.
Oh, okay. It's a couple months
it's in
away
April.
then. Okay.
And I just want to add for people who might be watching this, because we are so fortunate at La Cumbre at the after-school program there. And we wish that we had that at every single one of our junior highs. It was the one junior high that applied when the grant was available. And some of our junior highs actually wouldn't even have qualified. But we have to be grateful for the one resource at this one particular junior high, and I certainly do wish that we could have it at all of them. And I know that you'll do anything you can to have as many after-school opportunities available at the other junior highs, even though we don't have that kind of state support.
Well, a year ago, I did apply for Santa Barbara Junior High, but unfortunately this year they don't qualify. So, which is really a shame because my office is right there and I see all the students hanging out front and out back, and they really need some activities. So, thank you again very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. We are now on to item F2, the first reading of Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 5118, Open Enrollment Act transfers. And
Well, Marlon Sumter is here tonight, and he's thrilled that we got to this, and we didn't run out of time for his item.
Yeah, I was worried out of the first half before the break there, if we're going to catch up and get to it again tonight. But, good evening, and thank you for this time here. President Cordero, trustees, Superintendent Sarvis, members of Cabinet. I was even going to introduce Lane Wheeler, but he left. This item is brought to you, to establish a new board policy as Board Policy 5118, Open Enrollment Act transfers. The need for this policy arises from the passage of new legislation that enables students to transfer from schools designated by the state as Open Enrollment Act schools to any other school inside or outside the district, so long as the school being requested has a higher academic performance index, an API. At this time, Harding University Partnership School and Franklin Elementary School have been designated as Open Enrollment Act schools in the Santa Barbara Elementary School District. Board Policy and Administrative Regulations 5118 will establish policies and procedures associated with processing applications for transfers under the Open Enrollment Act. The language in the document you have in front of you is essentially the California School Board Association recommended language with some slight revisions to the application window to better align that with our other transfer policy windows. A couple of the specific nuances to this policy include waiving the January 1st deadline that's in the regulations and establishing an application window of January 1st through February 1st, which aligns it better with our other transfer processes. And also it establishes a priority ranking criteria specific to this policy. The policy establishes that students who attend an open enrollment school within the boundaries of Santa Barbara school districts and wish to apply for a transfer under this provision would follow the current procedures established in Board Policy 5116.1 for intra-district transfers, and students who are applying to attend a Santa Barbara School District school from an open enrollment school in another district would follow the procedures established in this new policy, BP 5118. The recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the first reading Board Policy and Administrative Regulation 5118, Open Enrollment Act transfers.
okay, thank you very much. Board members? Ms. Barker?
I do have some suggested revisions, as Mr. Sumter has seen, for board policy and the AR. It's more extensive on the AR for my suggestions than for the board policy. But before I share what my suggested revisions are, I do want to say that we need to look at BP and AR 5116.1, the intra-district open enrollment, so that we can fit the Open Enrollment Act into our priority order. And I think the sooner we do that, the better, since we would be, there would be a lottery being held after March 1st. And normally I wouldn't suggest that we make a revision before then, but there could be some people that are trying to transfer on it.
It could make a difference. Yeah.
So I think that we need to revisit that at our next meeting, maybe.
And I remember too, we were looking at that and with the academies and we were trying to change the enrollment time. We may need to revisit it later, just make this
Yes,
slight
I know. I
change.
feel like just this one little
Yes.
piece goes in now, and then we revisit it for 11, 12, but.
Yes,
for-
I agree.
Well, yes, this one little piece needs to be taken care of soon. So my suggestions on the board policy, on the third paragraph, where it says, "A parent who wishes to have his or her child attend another school within the district shall apply for enrollment using," currently it says BPAR. I would insert the word "the," using the BPAR 5116.1 intra-district open enrollment timeline and process, period. And then in the next paragraph down,
I'm sorry, so you added
I
You
added
added the words timeline and process?
to the end
Okay.
of that sentence.
Okay.
Yep. And then in the next paragraph down, where the last sentence starts with the capital T, transfer applications shall be submitted. I just clarified that with inter-district open enrollment transfer applications shall be submitted between January 1st and February 1st of the preceding school year, just to clarify that that's the inter-district policy as opposed to intra.
Can I ask a question on that particular one?
Yes, Mr. Herron?
That timeline has passed already for this year.
For this year.
Have we had any applications?
Two.
Two.
I mean,
Two, they're within the district, and actually they are incoming kindergartners, which actually weren't our students by the deadline. So that enrollment process didn't even begin until January 1st, and the deadline was for this application process was prior to January 1st by the regulations.
since we haven't even approved these, is there any reason to carve out an exception for this particular year that extend this to February 15th or something to?
Well, I guess, here's my question, Mr. Sumter. I know that nearby, the only school that might even be on the list is La Patera, correct? For an
I
inter-district?
believe so.
But North County, there may be some. And I don't know what if they have policies on exiting students.
I don't know exactly what their policy is. We haven't received any students or applications. I should put, we have not received any notification from families that they want to apply to come from those districts. And we haven't received any information from any of the surrounding districts that any of our students have applied to go to them.
Okay.
So far as addressing any applications, I only have 2 on a file that are from within our district.
Actually, I've received notification from Cold Spring that some of our families have applied for Cold Spring. And the question Cold Spring had asked was, well, we understand that Franklin may not be on the list in the end. It is right now.
Is that true? I knew that La Patera over in Goleta Union may not be on the list because
And
they've
there was
requested a waiver.
Similar data correction at Franklin. And I'd asked Dr. Hayden, he isn't available right now. And I said, well, you'd better go ahead and approve contingent upon them remaining on the list.
But they had a January 1st deadline for applications to be in, so presumably those families put those in, so it's already been met.
Yeah. The 2 applications I do have from us anyway are Harding families requesting Washington.
But those are intra-district.
Intras.
So they have a March 1st deadline anyway, because that's the
Well, if they
intra.
apply under the Open Enrollment Act, it's still the January 1st, but they could use the option of the regular intra-district transfer process deadline of March 1st.
We say here that if they're applying for another school within the district, they follow the timeline and process of BPAR 5116.1.
With that language, if we do add
which
that
is-
in there,
yeah.
then we would have that.
So that would give them the March 1st deadline, wouldn't it?
It would.
Okay.
So
Okay.
on the BP, those are, and I'll jump to the AR later.
Let me go on
but-
that one. It would give them the March 1st, but it wouldn't be because they're a open enrollment student. They wouldn't have any more priority than anybody from any other school. So they wouldn't jump ahead of the line.
Not if, well, it depends on if that's how the priority
Not-
is
not-
set up. by the
Not
board.
unless and until we amend that policy.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Ms. Parker, did you want to share your
You guys ready for me to share my
revisions
AR?
on the AR?
The AR is a little bit more extensive. On page 1, on the 5th paragraph down, where it says applications shall be submitted within the deadlines established, it said originally by board policy. I just clarified that. Within the deadlines established by BPAR 5116.1 for intra-district open enrollment transfers and by BPAR 5118 for inter-district open enrollment transfers. So that was just to clarify on that first page. On page 2, on the second paragraph where it says students applying for, then it said open enrollment transfer shall be assigned priority. I again clarified there with students applying for intra-district open enrollment transfer shall be assigned priority as indicated in BPAR 5116.1, which we need to do. Students applying for inter-district open enrollment transfer shall be assigned priority for approval as follows. So that's where the 1 and 2 come in. Then in the next,
Can I ask a question on that one? You're saying for intra-district, within our district, the priorities are the ones in 5116,
right,
which is kids of employees.
we haven't put open enrollment in yet, which is why I'm saying that we need to revisit this before our March lottery, because open enrollment isn't currently in 5116.1.
I know, but the way it seems to me by doing what you're saying, you're giving inter-district kids a higher priority, because currently employee kids get priority, and under this, siblings get priority.
This would be, according to the deadlines for 5118, this would all take place after the intra-district ones happened. So those employees, every intra-district priority order would be placed and taken care of and given a lottery number and waitlisted before we went to the inter-district transfers.
And do the open enrollment students from, let's just say Franklin and Harding, because they're in this special $1,000
School.
lower schools, do they get priority over other children trying to
Well,
go into our schools?
we have to decide that when we look at 5116.1. So that's, that needs to come back to us as soon as possible.
Right,
So that we can make
I think that we need to really clarify that. We need to be clear that we're kind of presupposing that we are going to revisit that policy and make a decision about where we feel the priority for these students will lie. Because when we adopted that policy, this wasn't in place.
Right.
And so we did not consider that.
So it looks like we need to look at the priorities of the 5116.1 and be a little more specific in all of
Right.
that.
Which is why Ms. Parker's comment or suggestion is so important, that at least that piece of it, we need to address ASAP. So at our very next meeting. And then other issues that we might want to address that might take a little bit more time, we can perhaps bring back again at a later date. But this part needs to be addressed immediately. Okay, Ms. Parker, did you have other?
Oh, yeah. So then moving down to the next paragraph where it said if the number of students who request a particular school, put the clarifying word inter-district students, because this is a different process than for the inter-districts. And then the next paragraph down, within 60 days of receiving any open enrollment application, so that's adding the words any open enrollment application, the superintendent or designee shall provide written notification. And then at the end of that paragraph, I added in some wording that's from our intra-district policies, which is approved applicants must confirm their enrollment within 5 school work days.
Before you move on, in that same paragraph, actually, no, in the paragraph above, if the number of students who requested particular schools exceed, it discusses conducting a lottery. And I know we just looked at, for example, Peabody's, and we had a time frame for the lottery. Do we want to consider a time frame for this lottery? It says notification. will be within 60 days. Do we want to say a lottery within 30, a lottery within 45?
If we want to specify that, we can, and then we would have to just work it that way, whatever you feel is necessary.
I would. I think it would be helpful for folks to know when the lottery is going to happen. Is it going to happen the day before they're notified, or maybe 2 weeks before they're notified?
And if that's what the board agrees on here, then we'll be sure to add that in.
To me, it seems reasonable to have the lottery and then have a little bit of time for them to be notified. So if we were going to notify them within 60 days, then I would think within 45 days,
I
we'd
think the
want
one
to-
thing that we need to be careful of is the difference within the intra-district and the inter-district, because the cutoff for this, for inters to get their request in is February 1st. The cutoff for intras is March 1st, so 30 days later, and that lottery needs to be held first. When are you planning the lottery after our March 1st deadline for any schools that need it?
Well, as soon as we get the numbers, get them in and tallied who we need to have lotteries for. As rapidly as possible so we can notify families.
Do you think it could be, is like a week too soon? Is 2 weeks too soon?
I think a week's pushing it pretty good. I think we could shoot for,
Like a 2 week?
yeah.
So maybe we should say 50 days to give you time to run this lottery first, and then give them a little time, so
So conduct a lottery within 50
within
days.
50 days. That's my last suggestions on that page. Then I have some added language that again is from our intra-district policy on the third page. So after the first paragraph, which ends with the sentence, part of the sentence, regardless of whether his or her school of residence remains on the open enrollment list. I'll read this off, but this is essentially straight out of our intra-district policy if you want to refer to it, which is, however, a student may be subject to displacement due to excessive in-boundary enrollment. The last accepted transfer student in the impacted grade level or subject area will be the first to be displaced. In the case of more than one student having the same date of approval for a transfer, a lottery will be held. Each open enrollment transfer permit shall stipulate the terms and conditions under which the permit may be revoked. Schools may require positive behavior and attendance contracts. Open enrollment permits may be revoked mid-year for behavior or attendance reasons, and any complaint regarding the selection process shall be submitted to the superintendent or designee. And that's straight out of 5116.1.
Could we get a
Okay.
copy of that
Yes.
so we have, thank you.
Yeah.
And then we will see it in its revised form. So I don't hear any objections to any of the revisions that Ms. Parker is suggesting, so I just assume that those will come back to us
It will, yes.
in the next,
We'll make the changes
the
and bring
next
them back to
draft.
the next meeting.
okay, great. So this is just a first reading, we are not taking action on this. I think we've given direction on what we expect and would appreciate coming back to us, and so with that, I think we will move on. Thank you very, oh, I'm sorry.
Just one concern, and I've met with, on this topic, my major concern on this is what priority do the kids from this open enrollment, what is their priority? And where do they fit with our other priorities? And if we have lotteries, and you have two students, one from one of the Harding or Franklin, and you have another one from one of the other schools, everything else being equal, is there a separate lottery for the Franklin and Harding student over the ones from the other schools? And that what confuses me in this whole thing, and so if that's taken care of,
Okay, well, I think that's what we will be discussing at our next meeting.
the
And we
5116.1.
can certainly, we will all be able to address what we think the priorities should be, and I think we will need to act on that.
And the one other thing that I want to say, and I've been getting this, I don't know if any other board members have, and that is from real estate agents, questions from real estate agents in particular, because sellers have been wanting to advertise, that their house is in an open enrollment boundaried school area, as if that's going to give the buyer unlimited choice about where the student goes. And I just feel like the community needs to understand that I think that the media has made the Open Enrollment Act sound more dramatic in its effect than it really is. And it's not remotely a ticket for a student to go to any school.
I think they're correctly saying that it gives them the option to apply,
Yeah.
but there's no guarantees, and that they may be trying to camp on the guarantee of the. if they get
And I agree that that misperception exists, and in some cases, it's fairly widespread. So we probably do need to work at making sure that the general public understands the reality about how this Open Enrollment Act works. Okay, so thank you very much, and we will be discussing this again at our next meeting as we address the revisions to any revisions that we might want to make to our priorities. Okay, so we do not need to return to any items on the consent agenda, which might be a first. Coming events, I think Dr. Sarvis presented most of those in his superintendent's report. Future agenda items? Mr. Herron?
I have two. One we might want to consider, but I did receive a sample board resolution to support placing a revenue extension measure on the ballot from CSBA, and I don't know if we want that on an agenda to talk about.
That's coming to our next meeting.
It
We
is
already
coming?
have it on the list.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
And the other is, in June of last year, we approved a pilot wireless program at 3 schools. And as of today, we still haven't got it implemented. And this is now 7, 8, 9 months. So I'd like a report on why, what's going on, and
Could we perhaps get that report in a board brief? And then if we feel that we need to bring it forward to a meeting, we can? Or do you want it on an
That's fine,
agenda?
but my problem with the board brief is then there's no time, then there's no discussion. It sits there, and then if you want it, then you've got to ask for it, and it's another 2 or 3 weeks. So I don't know what the report's going to show. So I'll leave it up to staff. If the report on board brief tells us what we want to know, fine. If it seems like it opens the door for questions, then I'd like to see it on the agenda.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
We also have an item.
Oh.
We're concerned about the timeline for layoffs, and we think we need board action by earlier in March than March 8. Now, we would have to anticipate, and we could, given the decisions on March 8, we could pull some of those back, possibly, but we think that we just need the staff time to go ahead, and we're anticipating probably a special meeting on March 1st, or sometime in that period, early March.
okay, so we would have a special board meeting on March 1st, and then we are still on for the board retreat on March 4th, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
And then we would have our regular meeting on March 8th.
May I ask, what time is the March 4th meeting?
It's a morning meeting, and it runs,
I think it runs from like,
No, I think it's a longer meeting.
I think it's like from 9 to 3 or something.
9 to 3:30, I
Yeah.
asked. I'm taking a flight at 4.
well,
9 to 3:30?
yeah.
But what we're doing is outlining through the presenter contacting each of you just what we want to accomplish. So I've already spoken with her. She's now making contact with each of you, and we won't intentionally run a 6-hour meeting if we don't have 6 hours worth of content that board members are looking forward to. Just as an example, one of the things, and this still follows within the item here, future agenda items, one of the things that we need to accomplish is simply a quick review of our board bylaws, which is the review of policies about how the board governs itself and operates itself. And that's because we have a board policy that says when we have a new board member elected, we will review those policies. So that's one of the things we want to accomplish. But it's also a great time for people to surface questions about those policies, for us to take a look at those policies, and if we want to bring those back at a later time with revisions, we can do that too.
Yes, so we're happy that we have a new board member because it affords us the opportunity to to take another look at those, which,
It's an opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the
Mr. Herron?
idea of a special meeting on the 1st, and like some thought given that, you know, we're going to have to outline some budget cuts, we're going to have to prioritize them, and then make final decisions. And I'd rather have as much time to do that, so we don't get, you know, absence of time to make all those major decisions. So I'd like, if there's a way to formulate all that into a more sort of controlled area and give us more time for deliberation. So the extra meeting, to me, if it can be used to also help us make decisions on priorities and cuts, that would be a help to me.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I think that concludes our meeting then, and almost a half hour early, we are adjourning the meeting.